What is going on, Nuggets Nation, NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back into Nuggets Today, presented by Fan Arch. I am rocking the throwback Carmelo Jordan jersey. I did find it at a thrift store a little while ago. Thought it was super cool, so I did pick it up. If you guys want me to cover anything, please let me know down below before we get this episode kicked off. I want to just let you guys know if there's any topics or any players that you guys want me to break down or cover, please let me know down below. But we're going to hop into some updates today, and the first update being the Bucks are looking to waive one player in order to make the roster spot for Thanasis Antetokounmpo available. And it looks like, and the rumors are that Andre Jackson Jr. may be the player to go, which sort of surprises me because I think that there's certain other players that you could probably buy out or release. But, I mean, he's a younger player. He's 23 years old. You look at his stats. I mean, the one thing that interests me is that I feel like he's a bigger, lengthier body at the 2. He's 6 foot, listed at 6'6". He was running, not that he was playing the 1, but I remember some games when Damian Lillard was hurt, they were testing out a bigger lineup, so he was at the 1 and 2. But he is listed as a 6'6" shooting guard, which again, he's a lengthier body. He is a New York guy, which obviously I respect being from New York. And I mean, listen, his stats aren't all that impressive. You look at this past year, 3.4 points per game, half a steal per game, 1.2 assists, 2.7 rebounds, all in 14 and a half minutes. He was shooting 1-3 a game, shooting at an almost 40% clip. So, I mean, listen, Denver could sort of bring him in. I wouldn't be too upset with Denver bringing him in. I think, again, it comes down to what Kessler Edwards does. Very similar type player when it comes to... I guess not at all, actually. Kessler Edwards is going to be more of a rim protector who can extend the floor. Andre Jackson's a guy that has a lot to prove. Again, he's only 23 years old. He's very young, only been in the league for 2 years. A guy that Denver could potentially look to develop and bring him in for a younger core, like I said, and I continue to say, and I continue to reiterate, is the fact that Denver's young core isn't anything super special. So if you're able to bring in a guy who's 23 years old, pair him up with Strother if he's not traded at the deadline, Christian Brown, Deron Holmes, Peyton Watson if you extend him, I think that you could sort of work with that, especially around a guy like Jokic, and hopefully you're able to bring in another massive player because I think that window for championship or bust sort of closes within the next 3 to 4 years realistically, especially with the age gap that's between guys like Jokic and guys like Christian Brown and the talent gap that's between guys like Jokic and guys like Christian Brown. But the one thing that makes me nervous with Jokic is the elbow injuries recently, and that's something I want to get into here, is the fact that this past, at the day of this recording, this is right after the EuroBasket game, or the same day of, or night of the EuroBasket game, between Serbia and Turkey. Now, you look at the stats, and unfortunately, Serbia lost to Turkey. It sucks to see. You want to see, not that they can't compete anymore, but you want to see Jokic go undefeated in that kind of moment. But, I mean, listen, props to Alperen Şengün. He really dominated. You look at the box score. Şengün had 28, 13, and 8. Jokic had 22, 9, 4, and 3 steals. Great performance from both of them. The one thing I will say about this performance is the fact that it makes me so nervous how good Şengün is playing right now, how well he's playing in EuroBasket, because come the NBA season, he's going to have Kevin Durant on his team, and that's a Western Conference team that's going to completely dominate defensively, even though he's not the best defender. You look at what their team can do defensively and the lineups they could run, they're going to be insane when it comes to their defensive lineups. They're going to play Şengün at the 5, who's not a defensive monster, but they could also play him at the 4 with Capella or Steven Adams backing him up at the 5, and you have Kevin Durant in there, who's maybe not defensive, but you look at the defensive lineups they could run. And you have Josh Okogie on that team now. You have Dorian Finney-Smith on that team now that could play defense. You have, Jabari Smith's not the best defender in the world, but you still have Tyrese in there. And then you have Capella, Steve Adams. Then you look at the offensive. You have Şengün. You have KD. You have Fred VanVleet. Their team is loaded, and I think that they're maybe the scariest team in my opinion. I continued to say that throughout the beginning of the offseason. They might be the scariest team to play in the Western Conference this year, and I think that a lot of people are underestimating them, but I think the one thing they lacked was true scoring and a defensive bench unit, and now they have a full defensive bench unit. And who knows what Reed Shepherd is? If Reed Shepherd is really that guy who's a top 5, top 10 pick, then we will see him be that guy backing up Fred VanVleet. And now he really gets his opportunity with Cam Whitmore gone. So I think it's going to be a super interesting season. And I really do think that they are a team that is probably the scariest team to play realistically for the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference. I think that the Thunder are scary, but I do think the Nuggets top the Thunder this year with the additions that they made this offseason. I think there are some sleeper teams. The Mavs might be a really good team when big emphasis on when Kyrie Irving comes back. I think the Clippers with the depth, who knows what happens with the, if Kawhi will face suspension with that whole situation that happened within the last 2 days. But like I said, I think that the Rockets top off my number one when it comes to the power rankings, especially because of how well Şengün is playing this offseason. The next thing I want to get into is semi-Nuggets related, and that is EJ Liddell was able to land a two-way contract with the Brooklyn Nets, joining Michael Porter Jr. over there, which is nice to see. And I'm very happy for EJ Liddell. He's somebody who this summer league really impressed me. He was one of the guys that I thought Denver should look into bringing in before they brought in Bates and Curtis Jones on the two-ways. I was very happy that he was able to play for Denver Summer League. He was a guy who's super athletic, was able to play almost like a stretch one, which was nice to see. He's a four that was bringing up the ball, just attacking the basket, and I think that he deserved a contract. I'm happy that he was able to land a contract, and I think that depending on the situation that Brooklyn's in, he might be able to see a good amount of games in the NBA towards the end of the season, and hopefully he's able to make a real name for himself. Again, I know that he was drafted a little bit earlier, and then dealt with his injuries, but if he's able to make a name for himself and sign a full-time contract somewhere, I really hope it does happen. Other guys like PJ Hall, who are who were able to bring sign two ways, Trey Alexander, all those guys who I wanted to see on the Nuggets, I'm happy are landing contracts other places, and I do hope that they are able to land full-time contracts wherever that journey takes them. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is another free agency update, and it's a lot of sources stating that Ben Simmons may retire from basketball, which is maybe the most interesting storyline I think I've seen, and sort of came out of nowhere. Now, all I've covered is the fact that Russ, Ben Simmons, Josh Giddey, Kuminga aren't on any deals at the moment, and they may start without being on a roster, which I highly doubt happens for the restricted guys. But for Russ and Ben Simmons, it seemed possible. You saw that the Knicks were interested in him earlier on the year, but supposedly he wants more than a veteran minimum, and I doubt that teams give that to him. So now the report is that he may retire from pro basketball as a whole. Maybe he goes overseas. I didn't see anything about that. It was just that he's going to leave basketball. So who knows what really happens for Ben Simmons, and if he is leaving basketball and retiring from the NBA. A little disappointed because I wish Denver would have brought him in, but I know people feel a certain way about that. Like I said, just a guy that I wanted earlier in the free agency, especially before Michael Porter Jr. was traded, because he was a guy that Denver could probably afford. But that's all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. I will have some updates for you hopefully tomorrow. Like I said, if you guys want me to cover anything, please let me know down below. Hit that like and subscribe button. I will catch you guys tomorrow.